Hi everyone, welcome to day 15 of SQL learning. Today we are going to talk about temp table and table variable. So what is temp table and table variable? So temp table and table variables are a temporary storage mechanism which used in SQL to store data. We have learned about variables. So if you have noticed, variable can store only one value at a time, right? But think that you have to store a set of values like a subset of a table. While writing the stored procedure, you need that initially, and like only while running the query you need to hold that data. In that case, we can use temp tables and table variables. We will go up deep dive into the examples. During that time, I'll be talking about the differences between these two and when you can use a table variable, when you can use temp table as well. So let's move on to the SQL. So first we are going to talk about local temp table. As you have seen in the presentation, there are two types of variable, two types of temp table, local temp table and local global temp table. So this definition comes based on the scope of this table. So what is the scope? If it is a temp table, the scope resides in the session or like in the connection. So let me create this tab. I have created this. Okay, I was testing this just before this video creation. So I have this table. Same. So if you notice the syntax, right, you can see this is exactly same as like how you create the table. The only difference which you can see is like there is a hash. So this hash define it is a temp table or not. This TMB is just for a standard purpose. You can have this way as well. So this hash define is a temp table or table variable. So I'm going to create this. So I have created this table. Now I can run this query. It insert the data. But what happens if I insert the data again? It throws an error because I set a primary key on this column. But you can insert how many ever records you want. Okay, so I made a mistake. I was doing this. I should have done this in DemoDB. But so let us see an interesting part here. I changed the DB, but still it told me that already an object exists because the objects are not being created for the database. It is going to create for the connection. You can see a connection number 70, right? And these temp tables are not created in my DemoDB. So we learned about system databases earlier in our session. So there we talked about tempdb, right? So temp tables are created and stored in temp database or tempdb. So I have created a temp emb table. You would be able to see that here. By the time it expands, we can continue with the discussion. Sorry, temporary table. You can see a temp emb, right? So this is the table which I have created. I can just prove that right now. I'm dropping this table, and if you refresh this, the table is gone, right? So when you create a temp table, keep that in mind. It is being stored in the tempdb and it has only lifespan of the connection. So if I close this connection, this query like table will automatically drop. You will have this here. Okay, we'll see how this will be lost after closing the connection. So I'm inserting a record. Yes, inserted. And I can also create an index on top of it, however I created for my normal table. This works. So temp table has all the characteristics of a normal table which can be used temporarily. That's what you have to mention. So when we can use temp table, if you wanted to use a large data set and you wanted to create a table and you wanted to temporarily store that for a particular period, in a query, you can use temp tables. Okay. So now global temp table is an addition of this temp table. This temp table still exists. Okay. So if I do select star from this table access. So what I do, I'll create a new query window and I try to select the same temp table, saying that invalid object, because this is a new connection. This is connection number 60, so it does not have a reference to the temp employee table. So what we will do here, so I'll create a global temp table. Okay, then I'll insert a record into my global. I'll put that. I just added another hash. I'm too lazy to give new names. I can access it here. Right? This is an entirely different connection, but I can access it. So this is the difference between global and local temp table. All other characteristics, creating index, setting primary key, all other table features are applicable for local and global temp table. But the difference is you would be able to access the global temp table in different connections. Suppose if you wanted to use, like, temporarily store a value in one connection and you wanted to refer it in another connection, you can use global temp table. So when this global temp, so I have mentioned, I'll close this. So when I close this connection, it will create the drop the local temp table. That rule is applicable for global temp table as well. So if I close this connection, the global temp table would be dropped. I'll show that in a new query window, because I have other code in that query window, so I don't. So I'll name it as like temp test, or just for to avoid the myth, like I can delete this temp word. So I'm creating a test. I'm going to run that temp test here. I know there is no data, so it's not throwing an error, it is returning without a data. So I'm closing this connection. All I am doing, I'm closing this connection. Since it is a query window, is asking should I need to save or not. I'm giving no, so that window is closed. I'm running and invalid object name. So that is the lifespan. Like if you think that you are creating a global temp table, so keep in mind that when that connection is closed, where the global temp table is created, the table would be dropped automatically. Okay, I should have refreshed and shown that changes. So here like the global temp table and local temp table are still exist because my connection is not closed yet. I can either drop it like dropping a normal table, that's one way, and the second way I can close this connection, it will be automatically deleted. Okay, so now we have the third item, that is table variable. So table variables are similar to the variable which we have learned, right? So if you remember how you were like running a variable, you need to have the declare statement along with the query execution. Here I created this table, right? I can still insert data to this temp table without even worrying, because I have only selected the insert statement, but this temp table still exists. But when it comes to table variable, right, you need to have the declare statement always, and the span, or like the scope of this is only while executing, not in the connection. In the other case, it is in the connection, so it is still exists. But here in this case, if I run this declare statement and I try to insert the data to the variable, it does not work, because it has to have that in the same execution. So this is the only way which you can keep it, and if I try to select it now, I don't get the data. Once execution is completed, the data is gone. see, right? But I can, if I run everything together, I'll get it. So you might think, okay, I have the table variable, but why do I need the let's say I have the temp table, why do I need the table variable? And table variable have other more disadvantages. You would not be able to create indexes and all these things on top of it. It shows an error, incorrect near table variable, because you cannot create indexes on it, but you can still set primary key. That's why, yeah. So whatever you can do on a table definition, right? You can do that, but other than that, like creating an index and all these things are not going to work. And if you refresh here, is it coming here? No. So where these table variables are stored? So table variables are stored in memory, but that's a debatable topic. So how it works internally, if you are storing it, declaring a table variable, and if the data is minimal and it can be held in a memory, table variable will be acting as a variable and store the data in memory. But if you are going to store a large data set in a table variable, that will still create a table, create the data, rest of the data in your tempdb. So table variables are primarily used for storing a small set of data, because it is using the in memory. And large data you may have to have indexes, you have to have constraints and all these things. It's always recommended to temp table. And there is another advantage with the table variable. So if you are using transactions, we haven't talked about transactions yet, but however, if you are using transactions, temp table, if you roll back, the data in temp table will be gone. If you insert something and roll back, the data would be gone. But in case of table variable, data will still be there. So table variable is not not impacted by the transaction. So that, like, if you wanted to get some information, even there is a rollback happened, you might be able to use table variable. So just very high level summary before concluding. Keep this in mind. Table variables are mainly used for small data set, and temp tables are used for large data set, and global temp tables are used when you wanted to use a data temporarily beyond one session or one connection, we can say. So I'll just cut this thing. If I cut, if I that's our table name temp, right? If I just cut it, I did not delete it, so it still exists. But if I close this connection, then I come and run this, temp table is gone. Keep this in mind, so it help you to understand, define the scope and use the temp table or table variable based on the requirement. So that's all for today, and we will be, when we do the practical examples of implementation of doing projects, we will feel that, okay, where there is a temp table requirement is there. Now you may have observed, like, there are requirement for variable to store single value. Like that, there would be requirement for having temp table, table variable, and as well as global temp table, based on, like, when you have a requirement of storing a large amount, like multi-line data and everything. Okay, so that's all for today. Hope this is clear for you about temp table, table variable and all. If you like this video, feel free to like, comment if you have any questions, and don't forget to share with whomever you need it. Thank you.